Moving on to the second question of Code 711 Variant 12 May June 2022 Business Studies O-Levels Question Paper Solving Series. Let's move on to the second question, which speaks of RWB manufactures buses. You see buses, off-the-job trading, 1.7 million loss, financial rewards, external influences, and legal controls. These are all applications. Okay, so let me read out the case study for you once again. RWB manufactures buses. Number one application, 1200 people work in its factory. All employees receive off-the-job training. You can see the applications are underlined. RWB uses financial rewards to motivate its employees. Last year, RWB made a 1.7 million loss. The managing director said there are many external influences affecting our businesses, including changes in the level of unemployment and new legal controls over business activities which affect the environment. So the first question is 2A, which is define off-the-job training, which is taken from here. It's a 2-mark question. So training that takes place away from the workplace, usually by a specialist trainer. That is the first answer of question number 2A, which was of 2 marks, and here we only used knowledge. So moving on to question number 2B, we have identified 2 reasons other than financial which people work. Okay, identify 2 reasons other than financial rewards why people work. This is also a 2-mark questions. Over here, what we're going to do is reason 1 is of 1 mark, reason 2 is of another mark. Right? So the first reason could be job satisfaction, feeling that you have done a good job. The second reason could be social, or examples such as feel part of a group, meeting people, making friends at work. Okay? Moving on to question number 2C, we have outlined 2 methods of financial rewards RWB might use to motivate its employee. 2 methods of financial rewards. Okay, this is a 4-mark question. And remember, what do we use in a 4-mark question? Remember, in question number 1C, 2C, 3C, and 4C, we'll be using a knowledge and an application. Not a knowledge and an analysis, a knowledge and an application. Okay, so you see knowledge, A, K for knowledge, and APP for application. Again, K for knowledge, APP for application. So in method 1, the first method, the financial reward could be paying higher wages. Okay, for workers in the factory. When you're paying higher wages, that's a knowledge. Where are you paying them? In the factory. That is application. The second method is paying piece rates. That's a knowledge. Pay to its 1200 employees. The word 1200 was written in the case study. Right. So that is basically the application. Let's move on to question number 2D. So moving on to question number 2D, we have explained 2 ways RWB might be affected by new legal controls over business activities which affects the environment. Okay, which affect the environment, which is of 6 marks. Remember, in question number 1D, 2D, 3D, and 4D, we will be using a knowledge, application, and analysis. Okay, we'll be using 3 combinations: knowledge, application, and analysis. So let's look at the answer. Way number 1, we'll be using knowledge. In the explanation part, we'll be using analysis and application. In way 2, we'll be using knowledge. Explanation part, we'll be using application and analysis. So way 1 speaks of RWB may have to change its production methods and equipments. For example, they may need to buy new machines. This is the knowledge part. The explanation speaks of this may lead to higher interest and finance costs, which may increase its loss. We know in the application part, in the case study, it was given that they made a loss of 1.7 million. In way 2, it's written RWB may provide more training or retraining to its workers. In the explanation part, it's given that as it has 1200 employees. Remember, in the case study, it was written 1200 employees. They have 1200 employees. So this can delay its production, because when you're training more employees, it takes a lot of time. Okay, and the production will be delayed. This is the analysis part. So let's move on to question number 2E. So moving on to question number 2E, it speaks of, do you think a reduction in the level of unemployment always benefits the business? I'm repeating the question for you once again. Do you think a reduction in the level of unemployment always benefits businesses? Justify your answer. Remember, in question number 1E, 2E, 3E, and 4E, the last question, it always ends with justify your answer, and it's always of 6 marks. Over here, we'll have to use a combination of 2 knowledge, 2 analysis, and 2 evaluation. Okay, so let's look at the first knowledge. Knowledge 1 analysis, knowledge 2, second analysis, and 2 evaluations. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the question is of 6 marks. So 6 marks, calculation is completed. Now let me explain the answer for you. A reduction in unemployment may mean more sales, this is knowledge, leading to higher potential revenue for the business, this is analysis. So in this question, we have to write a combination of one advantage, one disadvantage, and finally the evaluation. One advantage will consist of 2 marks, one disadvantage will consist of the other 2 marks, and evaluation will be other 2 marks, total 6 marks. So this was the first advantage, which means a reduction in the unemployment may mean more sales, leading to higher potential revenue. The disadvantage is, however, because there are fewer people looking for it, it may be difficult to recruit workers. This is the knowledge which could make it difficult to increase output. That is the analysis. So moving on to overall, it may depend on whether the business needs employees or not. This is the first evaluation, as without sufficient workers, they may not be able to produce enough to benefit from higher potential sales. Because obviously, if they don't have workers, then they cannot produce goods, right? So they'll be losing their sales. So that's pretty much it on question number 2E. For business, commerce and economics tuitions, you can connect with Muhammad Ishtiaq bin Zaman sir at 01685 221141 or email us at thebusinesstarbd@gmail.com.